Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you and Lamott. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. We entrepreneurs often pride ourselves on the grind, but rest is and should be a part of the strategy. Summer in particular is a beautiful time to slow down, to breathe, to truly rest. During what I like to call the school year, which here in Georgia is from August until May, the end of May, my days are stacked, back to back. Since we no longer have a nanny or a home manager, and even when we did, Ethan and I were still adamant about being one of us picking up our kids after school, because we always felt like we would be able to judge if they had a bad day more so than someone else. And we also wanted to know about their day and not have someone else know more about our kids than we did. Now, there are some exceptions here and there as far as when it comes to especially picking up the kids. But most mornings, I am on duty, driving to 2 separate schools, which easily takes an hour here in Atlanta traffic. And then I'll hit the gym, come home, grab a quick shower, and I'm straight into the workday, which often doesn't wrap up until 6 or 7. That's why I truly look forward to the breaks, especially in the summer. I don't have to wake up early to rally the troops, to get everybody up and get going. And mornings just feel slower, softer, easier. Unless there's a camp that week. And even then, I intentionally don't book a camp every week. I don't want every week full of activities. I want the margin. I need the margin for my sanity, for my mental stability. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned on the podcast that one of the biggest lessons I've learned during my 20 years of entrepreneurship is the importance of taking a break. And I want to expand on that on this week's episode. Right now, our team is very small. It's the smallest it's ever been since it was just Ethan, myself, and one other person in the early days. But now we're pretty small compared to our 19, 17 people in the past. And due to our team being really small right now, I could feel the burnout creeping in for all of us about a month ago. So I made a decision that we were going to close Zeus's Closet the week of July 4th, which is not what we normally do. Even though historically it's not an especially busy week anyway. But still, one customer did question it. She wasn't able to book a pickup appointment and wasn't happy about that. But here's what I know to be true. Part of being a business owner is solving problems constantly. That never stops. I responded kindly and told her we'd ship her item free of charge because I wasn't going to let one order or one moment keep me from making the best decision for my team and for my company. I felt like ultimately the decision would serve our customers better in the long run. And even though I did feel this slight twinge of guilt because we aren't normally closed. We normally run our schedule every single week the same. But I, again, could feel the burnout of my entire team. And I needed to do what was best for the team. And there's always workarounds for things. And that's what we do as entrepreneurs. Of course, in an ideal world, we'd have a large enough team or enough redundancies that we never have to close our doors to take a break. And we used to have that to some degree. Now, we've always been closed, I believe, on Sundays and Mondays. Or maybe when we initially opened the store, we were open Monday through Saturday and only closed on Sundays. And I refused to give up being closed on Sundays. That's kind of the Chick-fil-A model, and I've stuck with that since we opened a retail location. I did not want to be responsible for us being open on Sundays. But we also cut out Mondays because we found that those days just did not make a lot of money when we looked at our schedule some years ago. So we are open Tuesday through Saturday, which has worked really well. Again, it would be great to have redundancies, but that's just not where we are right now. We're rebuilding and we're doing the best that we can with what we have. And part of that means pausing when needed, when the team needs a break. I remember working at Room and Board some years ago. This was pre-COVID. We actually had a pretty large team, and I wanted to venture out and do something different. I've always loved interior design, and I decided to apply for a job. I ended up getting a job at Room and Board as an interior designer, and it was so much fun. It was a much larger company than ours with over 22 retail locations and approximately 1,100 employees. Yet, I still recall hearing about a specific pillow line being delayed because the artisan making them had fallen ill. So even big brands can't escape real life. But when you're a small business or a solopreneur, you are the business and you have to take care of yourself. Because if you don't, your business won't exist anyway. If you're listening right now and feeling like you can't step away, I want to challenge that belief. You can and you must, because rest isn't the opposite of productivity. It truly is the fuel for it. I find that when I take a break, I come back feeling lighter and refreshed. My thoughts are clearer, my energy is stronger, and I feel more creative, and truly I feel more grateful for what I get to do, for what I have, for my business. The pause gives me perspective around life and business. And when it comes to gratitude, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to own my own business. And sometimes when you're in it and you're grinding, you can take that for granted and you can get burnout and you want to quit, honestly. And in talking about taking a break, it got me to thinking about something I read about years ago about Bill Gates. Twice a year, Gates takes what he calls a think week. He literally goes off the grid, no phone, no meetings, no distractions, or at least this is what I read now. Just a stack of books, papers, and his thoughts. He locks in a deep thinking, reflection, and strategy. And again, according to what I read, some of Microsoft's most game-changing ideas were born during these weeks. And while most of us don't have cabins in the woods or 112-page memos or briefs to analyze, the principle still applies. We all need time to step back so we can move forward with intention. Here's the truth. You can't think strategically when you're buried in the weeds. And I talked about this on the episode a few weeks ago. Imagine yourself walking through a really high stack, or I almost think of it as more of a corn maze or just a field of corn. You're surrounded by it. It's taller than you. You're in the weeds. You can't see beyond what's in front of you. It's the same way in your business. You can't vision cast when your brain is just trying to survive the to-do list. And each one of those stalks of corn is something on your to-do list. You've got to get above that. You've got to rise up so you can actually see the cornfield. You can actually see the corn maze. Whether you call it a break, a sabbatical, or your own personal think week, there's something incredibly powerful about walking away for a moment, walking away on purpose, walking away intentionally to take a break. And even if it's not a week, it could be 3 days, or maybe it's a long weekend. You may just go sit somewhere and journal for a while, read a few good books. The point is to disconnect from the doing, disconnect from walking through the cornfield, and reconnect with your why. Really getting back to the root of why you started your business. And truthfully, your break may not even be for that. Your break may be for a vacation where you're not thinking about business, you're not thinking about work, but it's just still an opportunity for you to remove yourself from the day-to-day, from the to-do list. I've already talked about why you should take a break, but I want to be a little bit more concise with reasons you should rest and take a break. One, it improves your decision making. It can spark innovation. I mean, many of our best ideas don't come at your desk. I still think a lot of my best ideas come in the shower, but they may come on a run. They may come when you're on vacation. Who knows? But taking a break can spark innovation and new ideas. Time away also can help you see your business from a new perspective. Again, allowing you to be more grateful for what is and can be exhausting sometimes. And I also believe you can become a better leader, not only when you're not depleted, but you also can become a better leader because when you're outside of the business, your team has the opportunity to step up, to really work on things on their own and to test their not only their knowledge, but their decision-making skills. And of course, you don't want to come back and get on anyone for making a decision for something. But if it wasn't necessarily the decision that you would have made, you can explain to them why maybe you wouldn't have made that decision and not make them feel guilty about the decision they made, though, because you want them to have autonomy. You want them to have some thought around the business. And this is where your core values come in. And that's another subject that we've talked about. But if you have core values that your team are aware of, their decision making can also and always be aligned with the core values of the business. So that's kind of a little bit of an aside. But when you step away, when you take a break, it gives your team an opportunity to step up. Now, let's talk about the types of breaks because I mentioned there are breaks that we all need to take. We all need time for rest. So that could be that you take a long weekend, or you can take a true vacation where you leave the laptop behind and you actually go off and do something adventurous, or just go and sit on a beach chair or go and sit in the mountains, whatever works for you. Now, I will say for me, leaving my laptop behind is hard because I like to have it with me just in case something does come up, just in case I need to check a quick email that my assistant may have sent me a message about, or I need to do something. And when I do that, though, I will say I try to pop on for about 30 minutes first thing in the morning, and then I'm done with it and I'm off for the day. The laptop's put away, it's in the safe in the hotel, and I'm off to do my thing. Your break may be just a tech-free day once a week. I need to try that one, but I haven't tried that, not recently, but when Ethan and I traveled to St. Lucia a couple of years ago, we actually locked away our tech for a full day so we could just chat, talk, have fun, and not think about work or even browse Instagram or hop on TikTok. None of that, just free from technology. I also like just a quiet morning, a quiet morning where I can go out and sit by the pool. Or at the beginning of the year, I was really, really good about getting up early. And I have a desk in my closet. It's a very small desk that can fold up or fold down. I would go and sit there and read and write and journal. I don't do that now just because I'd much rather have the extra hour of sleep. But it was quite a nice time because no one was moving around yet in the house. Also, just taking a pause during your day to take a walk or a power nap could be a break. I like to sometimes, if I feel really tired in the afternoon and I'm in the office, I'll go and lie down in my office upstairs because I have a couch there and I can rest for about 20 minutes. And it's amazing what that 20 minutes can do to refresh my brain and my energy. Ethan and I like to take a break and go on vacation with the kids at least twice a year. And then we like to do a trip for just the two of us a couple of times a year as well. We recently just returned from a Disney cruise, and we also went to Disney World's amusement parks for a couple of days. It was a family trip, and it was a great surprise for the kids. If you want to see the surprise that my son had, I'm going to post it it's on my personal Instagram page, but I'm also going to post it to the Become Your Own Boss. Instagram or Become Your Own Boss podcast Instagram page because it was such a sweet surprise. The boys were so excited. This was his cousin. They're only 15 days apart, and they were so excited to see each other because they had no idea where they were going or who they were going to be with. And it was just truly a treat. It's something that I will remember forever. But taking a family vacation, of course, is a way to take a break. Kinda. Sometimes that can be exhausting too. Truthfully, I walked over 25,000 steps a day in those parks and was exhausted at the end of each day. But I will say the joy on the kids' faces is so memorable. And of course, we have all the pictures from it. It was just a very exciting time, a fun trip. And now Ethan and I are going to take a trip, just the two of us, next week, which will be a lot of fun as well. Going to try not to talk about business, but that doesn't last long with us because we both enjoy our businesses. We both enjoy talking about it and strategizing and thinking about what the future looks like and what the next 6 months, things we want to accomplish, things we want to do. But taking a break also gives you an opportunity to develop new memories for years to come. And that's really exciting. Ethan's really good about taking that think week, though. He doesn't necessarily take a whole week. He'll typically take like a think weekend or a day to focus on a bigger project that he just wants to push through. He wants to just knock it out and get it done. I don't necessarily do this, though I have taken 2 or 3 days to just kind of go off to myself and regroup and think and write in my journal and just doodle in a notebook. It's so peaceful and so calming just to do that and come back refreshed, not only for my business, but also for my family. I just wanted to talk more about this today because it is so important for us to take breaks as business owners. And if you're able to have the team to have the redundancies that you need, then that's great. You can continue to function. And we do continue to function. Our designers are still working typically when we're off on break. And our virtual assistant, when she's not on break, of course, she's still answering emails and doing a variety of things. But it is important for you to figure out what works for you, what works for your business, what's a good time maybe for you to take some time off. Most businesses have some seasonality. So what's your kind of down season and when can you take those breaks because they're really important. And I really want to encourage you all to do this. Maybe schedule an intentional break this month or in a month in the future. Set some boundaries around your work time, which we all really need to do that anyway. And I was just talking to a friend of mine at something, and we were like, oh, we could be accountability buddies for just making ourselves going to get a massage once a month, because even that can be a break. Though it may be short, it can still be a break. Keep in mind, as a business owner, you don't need permission to take a break. Even though I do think, again, going back to a lot of us having this mentality of the grind, we can also feel guilty about not grinding. But if we don't be careful about that, we will burn out. We will have health issues. And we don't want that. We want to be healthy. We want to be here for our family. We want to be here for our business. And we just need to have intentionality around that. Because truly, breaks aren't a luxury. They're a show of leadership, honestly, in your life and in your business. And truly, rest is what allows us to refocus, to recreate, or to create, to lead well and to live well. Whether it's a full think week like Bill Gates or just a few days of unplugging and unwinding, know this: your business won't crumble while you rest. But your creativity, your clarity, and your capacity might if you don't. Thank you so much for listening today. I am grateful for you. Take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Remember to give yourself the gift of a pause. Not just for your business, but for your life. And remember, now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.